the consistency, finding the right person matters so much. And I think that's where you help out with Remote Assistant Scout, is you ensure that it's the right person. So, Gerard, let's talk about some things that loan officers right now are requesting or wanting their VAs to do for them.
Mhm.
What is what does it look like out there right now? What are loan officers asking you if a VA can do X task for them? What kind of things are you seeing?
Yes, actually, it's a very diverse and a dynamic situation for the very reason that, lenders typically ask for different responsibilities or would delegate different responsibilities to virtual assistants. So, in the last 3 months that we've been helping out lenders, the primary focus really is on the phone support. And with the phone support, there are subcategories on there. So with phone support, that could be just like, acting like an online or virtual receptionist, because let's say that lenders nowadays are typically, preoccupied with, with files and stuff, and especially during the last week of the month. So that's where, typically the virtual assistant could come in and, receive incoming calls or perhaps doing some outbound calls for the office. So with the outbound calls, it could vary from, calling realtors for appointments, calling leads, depending as to whether, they're new, they're present leads. And when I say present, so it's kind of like, the office is actively working with the client and as well as, their past client database. And some lenders would have the virtual assistant, assist their realtor partners in terms of calling out their leads as well. Because, for example, if the lender is in partnership with a realtor in terms of Zillow leads, it's pretty much common. So that's where the virtual assistant could come in and assist the realtor and doing some follow-up calls with those purchase leads, Zillow leads, and it's a win-win situation. Whenever the client is 100% ready to purchase a home, and then automatically the lead also goes to the mortgage loan officer for financing, or we don't know, maybe refinancing, right? And from phone support, we've also had lenders who had their virtual assistant help with recruiting. So with recruiting, it starts with prospecting, checking out LinkedIn or other resources where they could basically, find qualified loan officers or maybe Indeed or something similar. And then, they try to prospect them, sending them messages, sending them emails, and perhaps, finding their information online, putting that into a spreadsheet. Like, for example, they're just going to put the name of the loan officer on there, the company name, the phone number, as well as the email address. And, they try to set up an appointment and with scripts provided, of course, by the lender, whichever is going to be compliant or appropriate. And then after that, either set a meeting through Zoom or a physical appointment. So these are the typical activities for phone support. Really, this encompasses, the inbound and outbound calling, regardless if it's, calling realtors, calling partners, calling home buyer leads.
So basically, the VA is filtering through, like, let's just say a lead list. So one list might be qualified realtors, and they're sifting through those to schedule appointments with the loan officer. And then the same with the leads, they're calling leads, whether they're old leads or newer leads. The goal is to set an appointment with the loan officer with these leads. And then the same goes for the recruiting side, or the looking for qualified loan officers, is they're calling a list of loan officers, or they're going through LinkedIn and other sources, like you said.
Right.
And the goal is to set an appointment with the loan officer that is looking for these leads. So setting these appointments is pretty big.
Yes, and that's the beauty of hiring your own or a direct virtual assistant where you work independently with them, in contrast to working with call centers. Because at some point, call centers, I have encountered a client wherein, the responsibility of the VA or the agent could be boxed into a specific lead list. Like, for example, if their service is really all about calling past client database, so they're just confined into that specific space and won't be calling any other lead list that you have. In contrast to hiring your own telemarketer or your own cold caller and appointment setter, and then their responsibilities could be pretty dynamic and could cover a lot of lists for you. So it's not really confined into just one specific responsibility. And
Yeah, I
not
love
only
it.
that, it's kind of like an automatic thing. So this is one thing that I say to our clients, because maybe if they're new to the industry, so this is something that they haven't thought of. Like, for example, if you're leaning towards hiring a telemarketer direct, or like an independent contractor that's going to be working exclusively for you, if you're going full time, let's say. So typically, the responsibilities is not 100% confined into the phone support responsibilities, because number one, you could ask the virtual assistant to manage your CRM, because where else are they gonna access your database? So organizing your CRM would entail, like, making sure that everything is in order inside your CRM, that the contact information is accurate and up to date. Because, for example, if you're calling past client database, you never know. I mean, their email address might be inactive. And, it's actually part of the script that it's kind of an important thing, that whenever you're calling, a past client database, that, you need to update their information on file, and perhaps, do the Just Ask campaign. So the Just Ask campaign really is, could be applicable to all types of calls, that, simple as, hey, if you know somebody, or, a family member, friends, or relatives is looking to purchase a home, you can actually refer us to us. So that's another win situation for you. And the good thing is, you really don't have to do it. You can focus on doing your money making activities as a lender, processing on files, and have somebody handle, those tedious and grueling phone calls for you, especially if you're calling, cold leads, or let's say cold realtors, if you're up for doing new businesses.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. Loan officers, they'll start making the calls, but then they don't continue making the calls.
Mhm.
They either get busy, or they just get tired of being hung up on. But a VA, they push through it. So if you have a virtual assistant working 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, making calls, they're definitely going to schedule realtor appointments, or loan officer appointments, or lead appointments, people that past clients that want to give you a referral. I mean, it's amazing that the consistency of making those calls, even though, technically you think about it, it's probably not as good to have a virtual assistant make a call than yourself, like if I'm personally calling. But the thing is, the VA is consistently making the calls. And what we're finding is they're scheduling a lot of appointments.
Mhm.
You agree?
Yes, indeed. And, I just have to add this, that, one of the frequently asked questions in terms of, of the lender clients wanting to hire a telemarketer, is that, they would be thinking that candidates that we endorse would have a thick accent, because, we outsource our candidates here in the Philippines, which is, English is our second language. and and literally we were raised that, the standard medium of instruction is English. So I could guarantee that, we could adapt or mimic the American accent as well. And, most of our virtual assistants here are very fluent in the English language. But then again, accent or how you hear the accent is subjective.
Right.
But, we have our own standards here that we implement in terms of, of the English language. And so far our clients are loving the virtual assistants in terms of, the English language.
Yeah. And the results are pretty strong. I can give an example of Alyssa that you helped hire for me, making outbound phone calls, calling realtors, cold calls, and scheduling appointments for a group of loan officers. And she literally schedules 10 plus realtor appointments a week. And it's amazing that I don't know many loan officers that can schedule 10 plus, cold realtor appointments a week. But she does it and they're good appointments. So it's amazing that the consistency, finding the right person matters so much. And I think that's where you help out with Remote Assistant Scout, is you ensure that it's the right person. Somebody that sounds just like us, that, not sounds like us, right?
As much as possible, yes. So that is our, one of our metrics here, that, they could mimic the American accent, or, just basically fake it.
Right, right. Yeah, I have people ask all the time if Alyssa works in our office. They don't realize she's in the Philippines, half the world away. And because she just sounds so good, they think she's here in our office. So it's pretty amazing.
And our vetting process is kind of like immersive. So it's not like we're going to be presented or blind presented with the candidates without hearing, how they sound on the phone. So literally whenever we do the endorsement, voice recordings will be provided. So at least you guys would have a preview as to how they sound on the phone. And, you can just pick your candidates there as to whom you think is, would be a better fit for your business.
Right.
Yeah.
So you provide a voice recording, a disc assessment, and their resume, right?
Yes.
And you guys vet out the resume. So it's background checks, making sure everything is correct on the resume and all of that. Yeah, that's excellent.
Accurate.
I love it. Love it. Love it. And you mentioned really quick at the beginning, but we didn't talk about it, is the fact that you can have a virtual assistant also answer incoming phone calls. So let's say you as a loan officer are meeting with realtors, instead of that phone, your cell phone going to voicemail, you can forward that to your virtual assistant and have the VA answer the calls while you're in an appointment. And that would help risk losing out on maybe a lead that's coming in, or a realtor that's calling to give a lead. They get to talk to a human being as opposed to hitting voicemail. Because I can tell you, I talk to people all the time, and when somebody hits voicemail, they just go to the phone and they call the next person, whether that's the next loan officer or whatever. And so having somebody answer that call for you is so important.
And having the virtual assistant and access to your calendar, it will be an automatic thing that, for example, you're not available today or you're in a meeting. So the virtual assistant could just plot the schedule, that if it's, a home buyer lead or a new lead, and then, the virtual assistant could literally plot or schedule that appointment either with you as a lender, or, with your loan coordinator. So depending as to what is your SOP, but that is one way for you to be more efficient. Or some lenders, if you have these amazing systems in place, like, for example, Ring Central. So literally, the virtual assistant could just forward or can transfer the current call to the loan coordinator, or to, other lenders
Processor or whoever. Yeah.
to take the call and maybe do the, pre-approval, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. And giving your virtual assistant access to your calendar, whether it's
Mhm.
using Calendly or just direct access to your Outlook or Google Calendar, really helps because they, like you said, they can plot the appointments in there. They know when you're open, and they can do it all for you while you're busy doing other things.
Mhm. And when the new lead comes in, if the virtual assistant, got all of the contact information that they need to get, like, the email address perhaps, so they can add automatically into your CRM and, maybe put them into a set it forget it email campaign that will send, automatic emails every month, to that lead. So at least you're still on top of their mind if in any case, they won't be ready at this point.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. What else are loan officers right now
So
having their VAs do?
I kind of like briefly introduced like, with the hiring process. So that could be like depending as to how you want to go with it as, as a loan officer or, an office manager. But typically, it would still encompass, phone calls, email support, CRM management, appointment setting. So that's pretty much the same thing, but it's at a different level since, the virtual assistant is prospecting qualified lenders for you. So you may have your own, standards and metrics as to whether, this loan officer would be qualified or not. So this is something that you need to share with the virtual assistant, make them understand where you're coming from, what are your standards, and, the virtual assistant could literally implement that for you. And all you have to do 100% is just sit back and just wait for that appointment to happen
Yep,
and just show up when that happens.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, whether you're having them realtors schedule realtor appointments or calling loan officers that you're looking to possibly recruit or join your team, having a virtual assistant do that is excellent.
And there's also a bandwagon of, loan officers involving into video marketing. So I've helped, lenders find, video editors who could do some TikToks for them for doing some reels. And some lenders would do some podcasts like this one. So I've helped, lenders find their podcast producers, editors. So, and it's not just limited into that because typically in today's market, whenever you're a video editor, you're also a video marketer.
Right.
So you're not just confined into that editing that podcast or editing that video. So it's also covers, the post production. So what happens after the video has been edited? So will there be an email blast out, or will this be uploaded into YouTube? Will it be syndicated to other social media platforms like Instagram or Facebook, or maybe uploaded to Twitter? So typically depends as to what's your SOP or how you want to handle, the marketing. And these video editors are experts in their field. So there's kind of like a value in terms of, asking them what needs to be implemented if you're totally new into, the video marketing area. So for as long as, the topics that you need to talk about, and you can do some your own research into as to what other lenders are doing. And this is
Right.
something that you could emulate and show that to the virtual assistant, and you can do your own content and leave that to the virtual assistant and leave the rest, to the virtual assistant. So
Yeah.
that's how other lenders do it. They just do the recording, have the virtual assistant edit it out, I'm doing some thumbnails, putting together an email content for blasting and uploading and syndicating that into social media.
Yeah, the key is the virtual assistant knows more about it than the loan officer, so they can help really strategize and implement everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the bottom line is, the virtual assistant is not just really 100%, a co-worker could implement things for you. They can also brainstorm and strategize and, put value into your business, especially if you're hiring an experienced one, because typically, this is something that they've experienced before. And there could be some inputs that could be helpful in terms of your systems and in terms of your SOPs. So for example, I've had clients who just didn't really know as to, because they're new to the business, right? And they're wanting to hire an experienced virtual assistant for a smooth transition. And literally everything was like, all of the inputs are from the virtual assistant. Like, hey, VA, what's the best tool that we could use for this, or a dialer or an email platform that we could use in terms of email blasting. So there's also a value in terms of, hiring a virtual assistant, especially if you're new to the business.
Right.
If you're not new to the business and have hired the virtual assistant before, and if everything is settled into your, how you handle your business, and then the virtual assistant can just, plug and play.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I can't believe how quick our time went. It reminds me some of the comments you made that we're going to talk about on some future episodes. Some of the mistakes that loan officers have made when hiring a virtual assistant, some of the added things that you can have the VA do for you, and work with technology and basic technology tools and things like that. So we'll talk about all of that. Why don't you, real quick before we go here, let's say I'm a loan officer and I'm like, hey, I'm kind of interested in hearing more about this. How can I set up a call with you to talk about that?
Yeah, so you can just go to www.remoteassistantscout.com. The link will be here under this page. So you can just click on it and schedule your no obligation 15-minute no obligation virtual strategy call. And we can discuss as to whether this is something that, you could do for your business for this year.
Perfect, perfect. remoteassistantscout.com.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, Gerard, thanks for being on. Appreciate you as always, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.